This Divisional Series Picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Game Time. Snag the tickets without the stress. Use promo code SGPN on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Game Time app and use promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers, where you can win 100 times your money. That's right, turn $5 into 500 in one game. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving away 100k. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $500. And finally, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month. Start making smarter bets today. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming from the still delirious Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Friday, the 6th of October, and we are here to have a look at the divisional round of the playoffs. Starts tomorrow afternoon. We've got 4 games kicking off, so we thought it only appropriate we crack out the very rarely seen quad box here on the MLB Gambling Podcast. It's a 4-man go. I'll go in order of looks. I won't tell you whether it's from worst to best or best to worst. First up is Mr. Dylan Rockford. Hey, Dylan, how are you?
How's it going, boys? Good to be with you. The playoffs have been good so far, so can't wait to get into divisional round.
Love it. Second, you've got to be happy with second because it doesn't mean you're top or bottom, is Mr. Scott Reichel. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. Looking forward to going through the division round.
And finally on the quad box is the OG. It is the machine, Mr. Munaf Manji. Munaf, what's happening?
Oh, not much. It's we crossed the finish line. We crossed the little sprint past the wild card, and now we're on to the divisional round. So excited to be here with you boys and break it all down. And Mal, I'm glad that you saved the best for last.
Well, I mean, that's your opinion, Munaf, and you're welcome to it. We'll leave that up to the listeners to decide. If you are listening, if you're live, by all means, say hello. Cheer up with a few bets. Trev's getting his streak back after a little wobble towards the end of the season where he forgot we were on. Trev is back. Yeah, you're right, Munaf. You said a sprint in the wild card round, and it very much was that. It was over in a heartbeat. None of the games were particularly exciting. I had a little dig around today, and I think the 4 teams that were eliminated scored 9 runs in the 8 games. And I think there was only 2 lead changes in the entire series. So it was pretty underwhelming, really. Myself and Scott had a little review of it last night. We did okay with our picks, but I'll be hoping that this next round's just got a little bit more excitement, a little bit better sport. I think we're expecting and hoping for. What we're going to do tonight over the next 45 minutes or so is have a look around the series markets and break down the 4 series for you. And then we'll also have a look around game 1 because we do have lines and pictures, I do believe, for all of those things. So we should be able to throw out some bets as well. Riley's joined us. Riley Shanks. Me and Riley put up some little, we had a little DM this week and put up some soccer winners. The NFL pre-game live on Sunday on the soccer channel. D-Rock, you need to come and join us again on Sunday. You're cordially invited back because you put some winners out. So if you want your NFL picks with a British accent, come and join us pre-game before the Jags-Bills on Sunday lunchtime. So, ALDS, we'll go in chronological order. I'm still a bit hungover, frankly, from Wednesday. The series, first up, where the Texas Rangers at the Baltimore Orioles. For the series, this is the closest one on the books. Texas are plus 105. That line hasn't moved from last night. Scott was saying a little bit of minus money. It was a pick between the two, but I've still got Texas at plus money here, plus 105, with Baltimore at minus 125. Scott, we'll start with you. You had them down as a pick last night. So can you split these two in the series?
I think for me, I'm going to lean to Texas in this one. I don't want to say that it comes down to playoff experience, but I do wonder if Baltimore, I don't want to say it's going to be overwhelmed, but we saw Texas look very sharp. They went into what was a difficult situation after choking away a division, and then they ended up burying Tampa in 2 straight games. I think Baltimore, of course, is a very talented team, but I wonder with such a young core, are they fully ready for playoff baseball? I don't know. We're going to find out. But I do think that Texas has the firepower to match Baltimore. The bullpen's a question mark, but the rotation isn't that bad. I think it's pretty close. I think you're probably looking at a 4 or 5 game series, so I think it's going to be a longer one. I'm going to link to Texas, though. I like what I saw. Bochy in the playoffs is always going to be one of the best postseason managers of all time because of how successful he was with the Giants. I'm going to lean to the Rangers. I think, once again, if Baltimore wins, I'm not going to be shocked. But I do think that it's going to be a very close series. I'll lean to the dog here.
It looks like a fun series, and I hope it is. Like I say, we do need a little bit more excitement here. Munaf, next up, we got 1 vote for Texas. Where's your money going?
Yeah, it's hard to kind of differentiate both of these ball clubs here, but I mean, obviously the line is indicative of that as well, right? Where you guys mentioned it opened at a pick and then slightly moved towards the Orioles, but I think Scott nailed it. I think the difference for me is having Bruce Bochy in the dugout for the Texas Rangers and them having those 2 victories that were in convincing fashion against the Rays, who weren't able to put a lot of runs in those 2 games. I think this is going to be a series where I believe that we're going to see a lot of runs being scored because I just don't trust either one of these pitching staffs. But I think that, we saw in game 1, Jordan Montgomery pitched well for the Rangers. So I think they can scrap it together. Again, Scott did mention, I don't think that playoff experience is going to matter here, but I think the difference for me is just the experience that Bruce Bochy brings to this Texas Rangers team. And as much as it pains me to pick the Rangers here, I'm leaning towards the Rangers side.
Yeah, on the recap, myself and Scott mentioned last night, Bruce Bochy, because we do 3 or 4 times a year have this conversation about what managers contribute, because it still kind of leaves me scratching my head a little bit. So we talked about, and we contrasted it with the decision to pull Berrios when he looked like he was in control for Toronto, where Bruce Bochy let Eovaldi and Montgomery go 7 innings for Texas. So, right, okay, 2 votes for Texas. D-Rock, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, take it with a grain of salt because I basically got every series me and you handicapped wrong kicking off the playoffs. But to be honest, I'm not a much of a future bettor, but I would, if I am going to take a future on this, I honestly would take the Baltimore Orioles. I honestly think their young lineup could go head to head with Texas. The one issue that worries me with backing Texas is what Scott said is the bullpen. I think they're the worst bullpen of the remaining teams. And I think one player who, if he's on and this lineup is on with the Orioles, I think Anthony Santander, if he could get going, I mean, he led the O's in RBIs, doubles, home runs. So he was batting .319 in the month of September. So I think if he could get going, the rest of the team will get going. But I do agree. I think going 4 games at plus 160, because I do think the Rangers will get one, but maybe the series to go 160. Who really cares who wins? But Orioles, I do like a little, but series to go 4 games at plus 160, I think is a play.
Kaysen joined us in the chat. Yes, Kaysen, expanded rosters for the playoffs here on the podcast. We've roped in everybody. Baltimore, it's just been a weird season. We thought they might go okay. The rotation at the start of the year was projected to be the 28th best in MLB. Remarkably, through the first half of the season, they were the 25th best. And I would have, if you'd asked me that as a trivia question, I would have said they'd gone much higher. The script's pretty much entirely flipped in that Baltimore rotation has come really good in the second half and the bullpen has fallen off. They had the 3rd best starting pitching ERA in September. Kyle Bradish, an ERA of below 1. But I just think Texas settled into that series really quickly. So they're going to hit the ground running here. And Texas will be where my money's going. Love Bochy. We've already seen what the headline pitchers can do. Dane Dunning's going in game 1. We're going to get onto that in a little while. But the bats look good. Garcia, etc., look pretty dialed in. And at plus money, plus 105, I think Texas is the way to go in this one. Okay, we move along. Once I've told you about game time, if you want any of these MLB playoff tickets, absolutely the best place to get them is game time. Helping you to get tickets for your favourite events without the stress. You can get tickets for sport, music, comedy, theatre. Killer deals on last-minute tickets. You've got the images of your seat views, low prices, flash deals, loads of cracking features here on game time. And one of the best things about game time is that they will credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. So you can start to look forward to the event without the hassle of faffing about with these tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem the code SGPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And Hall of Fame bets, helping us win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season. Hall of Fame Bets is a betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, game lines. Any sport you want, NFL, NBA, MLB, soccer, historical stats and data. And the revolutionary parlay optimizer tool is the USP of all Hall of Fame Bets here. You can put things like hit rates broken down by leg, expected probabilities. You can sort players out to who's hot and who's not. So stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. Okay, so 3-1, 3 votes for Texas in that first series. Next off will be the Minnesota Twins at the Houston Astros. Series prices are plus 140 for the Twins, minus 161 for Houston. There's only one place to start. Munaf, tell us about your hometown Astros.
I think what's really going to come down to in this series are the Twins going to be able to score enough runs to keep up with this Astros offense, because when healthy, we know they're one of the best in the entire MLB. And all the guys are healthy. They don't have any injuries on the at least the offensive side, the batting lineup for this team. And we saw the Twins, yeah, they took care of business against the Toronto Blue Jays, but I don't think they scored, more than 3 runs in either one of those games, if I'm not mistaken. But I just feel like if the Astros score 5 runs per game here, I just feel like the Twins are going to have a hard time just keeping up with that offensively. I do have concerns about the Astros pitching. I know Verlander is still at the top of that rotation there. But after that, I know I'm expecting Framber Valdez to have a big postseason because he usually shows up in the playoffs for the Astros. Christian Javier has been up and down this season. And then after that, it's Hunter Brown, who hasn't had the greatest season for the Astros. But you take a look at the Twins side, it's just, for me, it just comes down to the offense. I just don't feel like they're going to be able to produce enough runs to win very many ball games here. Maybe they get one here, but I think the Astros go out and take care of business in a sweep here. So as much as it sounds as a homer pick, I'm going to go with the Astros to sweep the Twins.
Okay, so unsurprisingly, Munaf goes for the Houston Astros. D-Rock?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, not on the sweep, just because this is another one where I think it's a game-to-game basis. Where, especially in Game 1, I don't like the Minnesota Twins. I'm not a big Joe Ryan fan, but I think, like Munaf said, if it comes into a shootout, it obviously favors Houston. But if it's a low-scoring, tight game and the Astros are struggling to score some runs, that's the way the Twins are going to win these games. And I just don't expect them to have many of those. Maybe they win one. So I guess I like Houston to win 3-1 at plus 370. I could see the Minnesota Twins sneaking one at home if it gets there. So I like Houston. I think they get back, and they're looking to make it 7 consecutive pennants.
Okay, double bubble for Houston. Scott, are you jumping off the train, or is it 3 out of 3?
No, I'm taking Houston. I think this price is too cheap. I understand the argument is Minnesota has arguably the better rotation because you're looking at Gray and you're looking at all the other arms they have in there. And I think it's deeper than the Astros rotation. But the difference is the Astros have been there before and they've been very successful in the playoffs. Minnesota won its first playoff series in about 20 years. So I'm not going to overreact to beating Toronto, who I don't think any of us actually liked during the course of the season. I think my favorite play for this series is actually going to be Houston minus 1.5 games on the spread here. Houston to win the series around -150, -160. But if you take the Astros -1.5 games, you can get that price at +145. I love the +145. I think that's a great deal. We all think that, or at least the first two people that talked about the series, Munaf and Dylan, think that Minnesota's winning a maximum of 1 game. So if that's the case, then I'll take Houston to win in a sweep or in 4 at +145. I think that's a very good deal. So that's going to be my main play for the series.
Scott, how many playoff games have Houston played since 2015?
92.
Yes, Scott, well done. You're here all week.
Let's go.
That's insane.
Yes, a test of memory passed by Scott. Well, it's a good job I'm here to pick the Minnesota Twins because that's exactly
the stage. Because God damn it!
Listen, the Minnesota Twins are for me a great illustration of you've got to think about the teams in the now. In Minnesota are going as well as anybody. I mean, Houston stumbled across the finish line. They were poor down the stretch, particularly. In the Twins, and I've said it now in the Wildcard Series preview, we said it in the Wildcard Series recap, that they're healthy, the players are in good form, and I really like this pitching lineup that they can throw out. We saw Pablo Lopez and Sonny Gray go well already. I think it's going to be Bailey Ober tomorrow. I know Dylan mentioned Joe Ryan, but you've got Ober, you've got Ryan, you've got Maeda. We've said Louis Varland. I just think they're absolutely live. Houston struggling. I mean, a little angle in here, by the way, is that Houston allowed the most steals in September because Martin Maldonado can't do anything. He can't bat and he can no longer defend. I don't know why he's playing. I'm not in on Houston at all. I'm going to take Minnesota here at the fancy price of +140. The third series underway. A little bit later tomorrow, 6:07, is the Philadelphia Phillies at the Atlanta Braves. Prices are +155 on the Phillies, -175 for Atlanta. D-Rock, lead us off.
Yeah, this is another one where, it's over a $2 favorite for the Braves straight up in this series. So I'm going to go the way that Scott went in the last series. And if you take him on the handicap -1.5 for the Braves, you could get a +116. I like that as well. Even maybe for the Braves to win 3-0 at +370. I get it. Phillies are good. They have experience. They were just there. And their bullpen actually has been really good. I think they have the third best bullpen in the playoffs behind the Dodgers and Orioles, something they kind of didn't have in previous years. But the Braves are just, I think they're the best team in the league, to be honest. So I have them coming out of the NL. They've dominated them in 13 games this season, especially on the road. Philly still kind of struggling on the road, and Braves, they're just wagons at home. So I think maybe they do win one, but I'm either going to take the sweep for the Braves or to go 4 games.
Okay, so comfortable win for the Braves, says Dylan. Scott, are you in agreement?
Actually, no. I think Philly's quite live to win the series. I think I am going to pick Atlanta to actually win the thing, but I am looking at Philly +1.5 games in the series. Division rivals, both teams can score a lot. I know Philly's not going to be intimidated, and I do think Philly's home field advantage is equal to, or maybe even better than Atlanta's home field. I like the Phillies +1.5 games. I know it's a little bit juicy about -160, but I really do see a competitive series that could go either way, and I do think you're going to see it maybe go to a Game 5. But +1.5 games for Phillies, my look, I think it's going to be a very competitive series.
Yeah, love that. Absolutely love that. Munaf, what are you thinking?
I really want to pick the Phillies here to win this series just because they just find a way to flip the switch when it comes to the playoffs. I mean, we saw them do it last year. I still have concerns about the Braves pitching. I mean, I'm not sure if we have the updated status on Charlie Morton and Max Fried, if they're going to be available or not, but I'm not sure even if I trust Spencer Strider, especially at home. I mean, I know he's a great strikeout pitcher, but he gives up, I think, a lot of hard contact as well. And on the other side, I know Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, a lot of people aren't convinced about, but I mean, they pitched really well last season, making a run to the World Series, and I know they did pretty well in the series against the Marlins as well. And I feel like this is going to be a series like the Rangers and Orioles where we do see a lot of runs. I know there are markets out there, especially on DraftKings, where you can bet on like total home runs, hit or over under on home runs hit and total runs being scored. But I feel like these are going to be high scoring games. And I think Scott mentioned that both of these teams know that they know each other, right? Being in the same division, obviously, in the NL East. So I'll be contrarian. I'll pick the Phillies here, even though and this Braves lineup is an absolute nightmare. I feel like the Phillies just find a way to get it done. So I'll be contrarian. I'm going to take the Phillies here.
You're a beautiful man, Munaf. You just said you had reservations about the Braves pitching staff. Second half of the season, Munaf, what rank were Atlanta for starting pitching ERA?
28th.
30 is the answer. They were 28th in September. They had a 5.61 September ERA, 28th, 4.76 over the second half. You're right, question marks over Fried. I think Fried will go on Sunday. Charlie Morton won't pitch in this series at all. Bryce Elder is going to get a throw, 5.75 ERA in his last 40 starts, and his metrics before that were wobbly. We said this all year. They've got the best offense, tons of home runs, only ever team to slug over 500 in a season. But Philly have to be live. And I'm going to go a little bit fancier here. Only because Suarez scares me to death in this first game. Philly to win from behind, plus 375. So they'll give up this first one and then come roaring back. And Philly will take the next 3 games. So there we go. Philly to win from behind is plus 375. But Philly to win the series, plus 145 will be the official pick. Fourth up is the D-backs at the Dodgers. D-backs are the biggest dog on the board, 2-1. Dodgers are minus 243. Scott, you can lead us off.
Sorry, can you? I wasn't focusing. Sorry. What
Dodgers, D-backs.
Dodgers.
Diamondbacks. I mean, we talked about this yesterday. I thought the Dodgers were going to kill him. I think this series is going to be Dodgers minus 1.5. I did find a fun prop. If you do want to back playoff Kershaw, which sounds dangerous, but he's been really good at home, Dodgers to win the first game and the series minus 115. That's my favorite play. I think that the Dodgers are going to open up a big lead at home. Arizona has had problems for years winning in Dodger Stadium. I don't see that changing here. I'll take Kershaw in game 1. I'll take the Dodgers to win the series. No offense to Arizona. They did a good job of performing in the clutch when they were hitting. They were pretty fortunate that the Brewers can't hit with anybody on base because, damn, the Brewers had a bunch of chances every inning, and they just couldn't get it done. I don't think Arizona's pitching staff's that great. I know that the rotation is fine, but the bullpen has serious concerns for me. Dodgers, it's actually weird because they're the opposite. I don't like their rotation, but their bullpen kind of grew on me over the course of the season. But I'm going to take the Dodgers to win game 1 and the series at minus 115.
Okay, I like that. A little bit of a different way of getting involved. Munaf?
Yeah, I'm with Scott here. I think the Dodgers get this done fairly easily. I like the series price on them, minus 1.5. That's at plus 120. You take a look at Zach Gallen. I think that if they really dig into the numbers, they are better suited to saving him for home starts in Arizona. But he just has not been very good against the Dodgers in his career at all, especially on the road. So just to put into context, 11 appearances against the Dodgers in his career, 1-4 record. 2 starts this season. They were both in LA, and he got shelled for 11 earned runs total. I know we're talking about the series here, but also Merrill Kelly. I'm going to put this out there. I think we talked about this during the regular season. Merrill Kelly has
0-12.
Yeah, 0-11, 16 appearances, 0-11 against the Dodgers. So those are going to be your 2 best pitchers, and after that, there's a significant fall off for this Diamondbacks rotation. I'm going to take the Dodgers minus 1.5, plus 120. The minus 2.5, I'm tempted by as well, plus 350 as well.
By the way, apologies for before, but I've been sweating out this soccer bet for the last hour, and Bilbao scored again, so that's why I was distracted. Apologies.
What game was it, Scott? Did you win?
Well, it's not officially over yet. I had a 3-pick same-game parlay. I need Bilbao to win against the worst team in La Liga. They're up 2-0. So
yeah, Almeria, I think we're playing tonight, weren't they? Dylan, what's happening?
Yeah, agree with everything. Don't want to reiterate anything, but Dodgers 3-0. I think they sweep them plus 320. I think Munaf hit it on the head. Zach Gallen, he was the kind of guy I think maybe they could steal a game, but on the road, I just don't want to back him or Merrill Kelly. like he said, there's a big drop off between their number 1 and 2. Another team where they just haven't had success on the road or against the Dodgers, 5-2 straight up. And all 5 wins have come by like a lot of runs. So I think the Dodgers kill them here. They have the experience. It was a nice little win for the Snakes to get here, but I think that it comes to an end here.
It's a good job I'm here. They stand up for the little guy, everybody. Dodgers have got you're saying they haven't got much of a rotation. They haven't got a rotation at all. They've got Clayton Kershaw. He is it. He's slowly rotating by himself. He's the only pitcher from the opening day rotation who's there. So Bobby Miller will be going in game 2, who's probably their SP8 at the start of the season. I like him. He's all right. He'll have a lovely career. I don't want to be getting involved here, though. I think he's dodgy. And then after that, Sheehan, Pepe Ott, what are you throwing out? We've already seen Kelly. He is steady Eddie. Those stats against the Dodgers, that just means he's due. That's all that means. Garland, we like Brandon Fart. We like saying Brandon Fart. Brandon Fart was great last week. Yes, we do, Munaf. Don't shake your head.
That was terrible.
I was going to say,
I don't think he was that good. Yeah,
he got out of trouble in the first inning. He went like 2 2/3. Like he barely did anything in that entire start. He settled down to get them out of trouble.
He can go and throw 7 ballers at any point. He's done it twice in the last 6 weeks. He can do it.
If they send Fod out in Dodger Stadium, he's getting killed. That's all I'm saying. They better be using him at home. He's going to get killed in Dodger Stadium.
The big problem I've got, the main problem here is saying they might have to come from one down because Clayton Kershaw is quite good. So I accept that. But yeah, they're going to have to throw out bullpen days. The Dodgers are going to have to cobble this together. Like the Tampa Bay Rays would traditionally. So yeah, I'm not buying it. I've got all 4 dogs going here, and 2 of them are definitely going to win. There is 100% profit in this for me, taking those 4 underdogs. Okay. Game 1s we will sink our teeth into momentarily once I've told you about Underdog Fantasy. A great way to play alongside your favourite football team all season long. Underdog has introduced Scorchers. Go 5 for 5 and pick them Scorchers. Enjoy a spicy 100x payout. And for a limited time, Underdog is extending the first deposit bonus up to $500. $100,000 Sundays are continuing on Underdog. And 10 lucky players will win $10K each. So watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $500. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. Munaf, can you give us a little over or under? Scott's been benched after last night's Justin Fields pick. Hit the skin.
That's fair.
End of the bench for you. Scott, ride the pine for half an hour. Munaf's the man. Come on, Munaf, give us a winner.
For NFL Week 5 player prop, let's go with James Conner over 60.5 rushing yards.
James Conner higher than 60.5 rushing yards. I've thrown this out all week. I'm going to Christian McCaffrey unders on the rushing yards. Cowboys are going to stop him. Is that another shake of the head there, Muna?
I just don't know with you sometimes. I really don't know.
I like the
We'll have a lovely chat on Sunday night about all of this.
But you're a madman. I'll just say that.
When the D-backs are 2-0 up and Christian McCaffrey's rushed for 24 yards, we'll get well and truly back into this. So, game 1, back to the start, 1:03 Eastern first pitch. Texas at Baltimore. Texas officially TBD. Where's my notes? Dane Dunning, though, I believe it will be for Texas. And Kyle Bradish is confirmed for Baltimore. Texas are plus 125. Baltimore minus 147. And the total is set at 8. Dylan?
Yeah, so I'm going to take Baltimore. I got him at minus 135. I made him a minus 170 favorite here. I just like Kyle Bradish. I think he's had a fantastic season, especially at home. 2.23 ERA. Batters are only hitting a $1.99 off of him at home. He hasn't allowed a run in his last 16 innings. And, I think he's been one of the Orioles' most consistent pitchers this season. And in his only start against the Rangers back in early in the season, the Orioles did win. Bradish only allowed 1 run in 6 innings. So I think they have the pitching advantage, and offensively, I think they could hang around here at home. They did move the dimensions back a little bit at Camden Yards. So I think they have the home field advantage. I'm going to take the young guys because I think they have the better rotation. The bullpen still scares me with the Rangers. So give me the Orioles here.
Okay, Baltimore up at -147 for Dylan. Scott?
So I don't see any official listed pitchers. So you said it's going to be Bradish against who?
Dane Dunning.
Dunning.
Dane
Dane
Dunning.
Dunning.
Okay. Dunning was good down the stretch. He did pitch on 3 days rest in the season finale, but he only went 3 innings, and he was fine. But I think for this start, Bradish I really like, but I have a bit of a problem with his first ever postseason start. I think that you're looking at what could be an unpredictable game. I'm picking Texas to win the series, but I can see them coming from behind. The atmosphere in Camden should be nuts. It's going to be the first playoff game there in several years. I think even though I am picking Texas to win the series, I think I am going to lean to Baltimore in game 1. I just think that looking at the pitching matchup, you can say it's relatively even based on how these guys have performed this season. Maybe Bradish is a bit better. But I do think that the Orioles will ride the crowd in the first game en route to a win. So even though I'm picking Texas to win the series, I'm going to lean Baltimore game 1. But I am going to lean to the under as my main play in game 1.
Okay, so Baltimore in an under. Munaf?
Yeah, I really do like the under. I know I mentioned that I feel like we're going to see a lot of runs being scored in this game, but both of these pitchers down the stretch and even season long, they're in great form, especially Kyle Bradish. 12-7 on the season with a 2.83 ERA at home, 5-4 with a 2.23 ERA. I know Dylan mentioned it as well. In 2 starts this season against the Rangers, he only allowed 1 earned run, 5 hits in 8 1/3 innings. So, and he was really good down the stretch as well, as Dylan mentioned. So I like the form that Kyle Bradish is in. Dane Dunning has been very, very respectable as well. He has just had 1 bad start down the stretch against the Mariners, but other than that, he's been really solid on the road. 5-5 with a 3.10 ERA against AL East teams. 4-0 with a 2.75 ERA. So my favorite play in agreement with Scott is the under 8 in this game. As far as the side, I do lean to the Orioles side.
I promise I'm not doing this on purpose. My pick was the over 80, just flying in the face of everybody. I just thought there might be a few first inning nerves around, particularly Bradish and Dunning. Texas have got that out of the way. The bats were okay. We talked about Garcia. Josh Young was great. And they do bat all the way down. And I just think if it takes Bradish just a little while to settle down, these two really have been offense first all year. I thought I'd say 8.5 here. So yeah, I will take the over 8. Next up,
Malcolm, real quick. Yeah. It's gonna be windy and rainy in Baltimore this weekend.
The weather. You see, I never factored that in. We talked about that last week. That's all right. It'll finish 5-4. We'll get there. Don't worry.
Well, when you say windy's not bad. It just depends on which direction. The wind isn't necessarily that bad. It just depends if it's blowing in or out.
It's coming in.
Oh, yeah, under.
As
Munaf and I said before.
You have rained on my parade there. 4:45, the Minnesota Twins are underway against the Houston Astros. Confirmed pitches are Bailey Ober and Justin Verlander. Plus 135 for the Twins, minus 156 for the Astros. Total is low at 7.5, Munaf.
Yeah, Verlander in his career has just been dominant against the Twins, and I'll trim this down to as a pitcher for the Astros. And I know that that lineups change and things like that as well. But since the 2018 season, this goes all the way back to the 2022 season last year, where he did make 2 starts against the Twins. Verlander's 5-1 with a .64 ERA, 47 strikeouts in those 6 appearances, and traditionally, he's been very good in game 1s for the Houston Astros when they've made their playoff runs and even eventually to World Series champions. I know he does get into trouble. I think it was a game of last season. I believe it was against the Mariners, if I'm not mistaken, where he did get into a little bit of trouble. But you have your best pitcher at home where he's been absolutely dominant. I like what I've seen from Verlander down the stretch, especially. I know he had 1 bad start against the Oakland A's, but he put together back-to-back great starts against the Diamondbacks and the Seattle Mariners. Last 2 games, 13 innings pitched. He only allowed 1 earned run in those games, so he's in great form. Like I mentioned, he's been really good at home at Minute Maid Park. Bailey Ober, I think, more than likely making his first career start as well in the postseason. I think that's probably at his disadvantage. I think the Astros bat can probably get to him early. I'm looking at the Astros run line here, -1.5 plus 136 for them to get the job done in game one behind Justin Verlander.
Okay, so the second homer play of the night for Munaf. Scott, what have you got?
I had the same play. I think Houston's going to kill him in game one. It's really a perfect spot for me, especially if Houston's going to win the series comfortably, because Verlander's been great lately. We know how good he is in the playoffs. He's even better if you ignore the World Series. So in the first couple rounds, he's basically unhittable, and he has been for a decade and change. You're looking at Minnesota. They did what they had to do. They defended home field, which is what they were very good at all year long. They were below 500 on the road, and they didn't play a road game in the first round. So I think going into Houston, though, kind of oddly was really bad at home this year. They were actually 3 under at home. But in the playoffs, they tend to perform well there. I think you're looking at Houston getting behind Verlander. I'm not sure Verlander gives up a run in this start, but I do think that Houston can get after Ober. I think that Ober's going to struggle. We saw he was great to start the year. Then he was fine for the most part, but he definitely was worse in the second half, comparatively speaking. I think Houston wins this comfortably. I'm not sure about Minnesota's bullpen either in Houston, but I'll take the Astros to win this game 5-1, give or take. I think Houston wins comfortably.
Okay, Dylan?
Yeah, I feel like all the momentum is with Minnesota and everyone is on them. I feel like I saw a couple hours ago, 80% of the bets are on the Twins. That makes me nervous.
Against Verlander? I find that shocking. Okay.
Yeah. Not the money, just the bets are on.
No, I'm saying I just find that shocking. The public's willing to just fade the Astros and Verlander like that because they won 2 games against Toronto. I just find that kind of shocking.
And Astros, they weren't playing for a few days, and I think sometimes that could hurt a team. We've seen it in past where the team just got playing, actually helped them in the next round. They're all healthy. I just don't know about this game, though. I do think there are going to be times in this series where we can back the Twins, but I just don't think this is a good spot for them. I'm not the biggest Bailey Ober fan, especially on the road. I think he could get hit by the Astros, especially at home. So Verlander, he's coming off back-to-back impressive outings against the Mariners and the Diamondbacks. So I think here in game one, I agree. I don't really think the Twins will be able to get to Verlander. So I'm gonna at plus 136. I think that's extremely good value to take the Astros here at home. So I agree with the boys.
My pick, I know Scott's talked a lot about the unders so far this year in the playoffs, and I think we can see a first 5 under here. I'd rather take the Minnesota bullpen out of it. The Houston bullpen will be fresh, obviously. You can't argue with Verlander's numbers, Verlander's recent game log. Even if, like I say, I'm leaning Minnesota in the series, and how they can win is by winning close games. So I think the safer bet here for a game one is to take the under, because Bailey Ober, or Bailey under, am I right? He's pitched really well lately. He's got a 6 2/3 1 earned run, and then he's gone 5 innings, 0, 2 2. That'll play because Verlander's not going to give up many. This will be 2-1 or 2-0 to somebody through 5 innings. The under 4 is at a price of about minus 115 or thereabouts for the under 4 in the first 5 innings. So yeah. That'll be my pick. I won't go wild on that one, boys. You'll be pleased to hear. Third up is the 6:07 Eastern first pitch between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. We have left-handed pitcher Ranger Suarez confirmed for Philly. Atlanta officially TBD, but looks like Spencer Strider. Plus 170 on the Phillies, minus 200 on the Braves. Total is at 8.5. Dylan.
Yeah, I think that the Braves are the right side here, but I can't lay over $2 with them. That's just ridiculous. But as for the total, I do like the over 8.5. I know there's been a lot of unders early in these wild card series, but you got 2 really good offenses, and overs have been cash cow in Atlanta this season, 48 and 32 toward the over in Atlanta. And in the 13 games these two teams have played, the over is 8-5. Also, weather report, 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out into center field tomorrow, so that should help us a little. I'm also not the biggest Ranger Suarez fan. He's been in a lot of high-scoring games in the month of September, and, with Strider giving up more contact and runs at home, he's allowed 3 or more runs in 4 of his last 5 starts in the month of September. So I think both of these pitchers will give up some runs, even when the bullpens come in. I think we're going to see a lot of runs, not just this game, but I feel like in the whole series. So I'm going to be on the over 8.5 here.
Yeah, I'll jump in there, Dylan, because my pick was the same for the exact reasons you mapped out. Strider's ERA 5.60 in the last 5 games, and Suarez did all right, actually. Playoff Suarez last year was reasonable. 8.5 for these two teams, who are both, again, offense first, and Atlanta very impressively so. 8.5's too low, so I'll side with Dylan and take the over, Munaf.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Anytime I see Spencer Strider starting in Atlanta, it's an automatic over. And just I'm kind of referencing back to what transpired during the regular season for Spencer Strider. He made 16 starts in Atlanta this season. The Braves were 13-3 straight up in those games, 10-6 on the run line, but the over was 12-4 towards the over in those games. The Braves were averaging 6.5 runs per start for Spencer Strider, and he also allowed 4.31 runs per game. So that equated to about 10.8 runs that he was giving up. And I think Dylan mentioned, I just don't trust Ranger Suarez in this spot either. So I think that the Phillies can probably jump out a little bit early and maybe get to Strider here, score a couple runs within whether that's first or second inning. But we know this Braves offense doesn't let up at any time, and they're always in the game, especially with that offense. So over 8.5 for me as a play here. I'll lean with the Braves, but again, at a $2 price, I just can't do it with Spencer Strider on the mound. So I'll probably look at the run line. But favorite play, agree with you guys, over 8.5.
Scott, we're on the cusp of a team ride for the over. What's happening?
Yeah, I'm going to lean to the over as well. I think I'm trying to think if there's better value on the full game over, because you get to fade Suarez, or if you just get Philly team total over, which might be a little bit cheap with Strider projected as the starter. But I do like the Phillies, actually, plus 1.5 runs. I'm going to stay consistent because I took the Phillies plus 1.5 games in the series. First of all, they're on the road, so Atlanta might not bat in the 9th inning, and plus 1.5 is minus 120. But we saw the Braves last year look a little bit sluggish after having a little bit of layoff there because they had a great record and they didn't play in the wild card round. This year, they tried to combat that by playing simulated games against each other. Good luck with that. I don't know if that's going to help you or not, but the point is Philly, I do think, is going to hit the ground running here. Strider's had some issues against Philly in particular in the playoffs. We saw that last year. I like the Phillies plus 1.5 runs because, once again, Atlanta can still win the game. But if they're up by 1 run, then you don't have to worry about the 9th inning. So I definitely like that insurance policy there. I like the over, though, but I am going to go with the Phillies plus 1.5.
Final game tomorrow commences at 9:20 Eastern. It's the D-backs at the Dodgers. Merrill Kelly, officially TBD for Arizona, but we think it's him. And confirmed for the Dodgers will be left-handed pitcher Clayton Kershaw. Plus 170 on the D-backs. Minus 200 for the Dodgers. Total is set at 8. Scott, finish us off with a winner.
Yeah, so I already said I'm backing Kershaw, so why would I not just double down on it? It could blow up in my face, but whatever. If it does, then I get to laugh at playoff Kershaw again. So it's a win-win for me. I'm going to go with the Dodgers minus 1.5. I just think at home they're going to look dominant. I think you're looking at Arizona, who is pretty fortunate to face off against the Brewers, who we know cannot hit, and Yelich was banged up for the past month. Nobody scared you in that entire Brewers lineup, and as a result, they couldn't get a hit with a guy on base to save their lives. But I do think it's a bit concerning that Arizona got off to bad starts in the first couple innings in those 2 games in Milwaukee. I don't think the Dodgers are going to take their foot off the gas. I see the Dodgers getting out to an early lead, facing off against Mookie and facing off against Freeman and Martinez. And they just have so many guys in that lineup that can jump on you early if you don't have your best stuff, especially Merrill Kelly, for example, who has been really bad in his career against the Dodgers. I'm going to go with the Dodgers run line here. I think Kershaw brings it. I think the Dodgers win this game. Once again, I feel like a 6-2 score is pretty reasonable here, but I am going to go with the Dodgers to get it done pretty comfortably.
Okay, comfortable Dodgers win. Munaf?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned the numbers about Merrill Kelly against the Dodgers, especially on the road. 8 appearances in Dodger Stadium, 0-5 record with a 7.03 ERA. He did have one good start back in March. I think that was probably the first start of the regular season for Merrill Kelly against the Dodgers. Diamondbacks did get that victory 2-1, but the next start was back in August 29th against Kershaw, actually on the mound, and the Dodgers won that game comfortably 9-1. I think I see more of the same here. I agree with Scott. Run line here for me, -1.5. Whether it's full game or if you want to take the first 5 innings run line with the Dodgers, that's at -130. But I would probably stack Dodgers in every which way, team total, first 5 or run line full game. But I think it's Dodgers dominating in game 1.
What price did you have the Dodgers on the run line there, Buda?
Full game?
I see +105.
Yeah, I see a +105 on DraftKings. Yeah,
that's what I was looking at. I thought -130. Was that the first 5, maybe?
That was the first 5 run line, yeah.
Dylan.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. It's nice to get some plus money with the Dodgers on the run line. Merrill Kelly's good. I like Merrill Kelly, but I just think personally he's outmatched here against Kershaw. He's kind of middle of the pack amongst pitchers on the road. Snakes 1-3 straight up against the Dodgers this year. All 3 losses came by 2 or more runs for him. Meanwhile, Kershaw, I think you're right, Malcolm. He's just their best pitcher. Amazing at home, 7-1, 158 ERA. Batters are only hitting $180 off of him. And like the Braves have owned the Phillies, the Dodgers have owned the Snakes this year. They're 5-2 straight up at home. All 5 wins have come by 2 or more runs. So I just think at home they're outmatched here. So I think they win comfortably at +105. I'll take them on the run line as well.
My pick is also +105, but it is a different pick, and it's the first 5 under. The line's set at 4. You could very conceivably see Kershaw going scoreless. And like we say, Kelly, without being spectacular, is very serviceable. If he won't panic if he gets himself into trouble, he'll be okay. I do want the D-backs for the series. This is going to be a problem, having to get past Kershaw. You can see the Dodgers being 2 or 3-0 up through 5. So yeah, it's a similar price. We've got 4 +105 picks here, but mine's going to be the first 5 under 4. And I think, Munaf, if you want to confirm, we've covered everything that we were here to cover. Is there anything else we need to get our teeth into?
No, we went through the series, gave our predictions. We handicapped game 1 fairly well here. So just one order of business left before we wrap up the show.
And what's that?
Lock and dog. Come on, Mal.
Okay, I wasn't sure on a short card. And are we talking lock and dog for game 1? Are we talking lock and dog for the series? Can we do what we like? What's the rules here?
I think let's do this. Maybe give out since there's only 4 games let's do like a game 1 best bet. And then if you have like a lock and a dog for a series prediction, or if you want to give a best bet for game 1 and then just a dog for anything.
Okay, then you seem like you've got it under control. You can lead us off.
Okay. So game 1 for my lock, I will go. I'll just go with the Dodgers on the run line. I just think that again, Clayton Kershaw game 1 against Merrill Kelly. Again, we've talked about at volumes of how Merrill Kelly is just terrible against the Dodgers in his career. 0-11, 16 appearances, 0-5 in 8 appearances on the road at Dodger Stadium. And Clayton Kershaw, I think, should go along well here. He's had a lot of success against the Diamondbacks in his career as well. I'll take the -1.5 +105 for the Dodgers to get the job done in game 1. And then for my series dog or a dog play, I am going to go with the I believe that was at a plus price. Yeah, Astros -1.5 games +145 against the Twins. And then I'll give out a lock for a series prediction as well. I'll give out the Dodgers -1.5 at +120 as well. I just think those 2 teams are just going to dominate their opponents and get this job done, whether it's in a sweep or at least in 4 games. So just to recap, game 1, Dodgers -1.5 +105 with Kershaw against Merrill Kelly. Series prediction lock, Dodgers -1.5 +120. And then dog for the Astros series handicap -1.5 at I think I said what, +145. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Munaf. D-Rock, hit us.
All right, so for game one, favorite play or best bet, I'm going to go on the over Phillies and Braves game. I just think we're going to see a lot of runs scored. I made my total for game one 8.9, so going over 8.5 here. I think both pitchers are susceptible for a few runs as well. Braves at home are just an over machine, like I mentioned. For the series, what did you say Dodgers -1.5 was, Munaf?
-1.5 for the Dodgers is +120.
Yeah, I'll take that. I just think they're going to dominate the Snakes here, especially at home. You mentioned the pitching, Malcolm. I think their pitching is okay. I do like Bobby Miller, and I think they'll be all right. I just think offensively, I don't think the Arizona Diamondbacks could hang with them. So I'll take them to dominate this series at -1.5 at +120 as my dog.
Okay, Scott.
All right. So for my game one pick, I'm going to go with the Astros -1.5 at around +136. I just think it's a great price to give Verlander at home against Ober, who has been, once again, not as good in the second half as he was in the first half. His road numbers aren't as good. I just think Houston gets to him early. So I'll go with Houston -1.5 in game one. Then for the actual series, I am going to pick Houston again. I'm going to give out 2 plays for the series. I'll go with Houston -1.5 games again. +145 is just such a good deal for a team that makes the ALCS every year. I just think that's a hell of a deal. So I'll go with them. And my other pick for the series will be Dodgers to win game one and the series at -115.
Okay, I like this. We've got loads of different angles. I've got nothing but crazy underdogs to choose from here. I've painted myself into a corner. My lock, I will take that first 5 under. We'll go back to that last game. Clayton Kershaw against the D-backs. Like I say, this could be a slow burner. Easy just see the Dodgers being 2 or 3-0 up through 5 innings. That's +105. And I'm going to give 2 dogs out here. I've been sweet on Minnesota all the way through. Watched them closely result. I'm okay with them. Houston are wobbly. Minnesota +140 to win the series. And then a little bit fancier going back to the Phillies. Philly to win from behind is +375. Strider can take game one in a shootout, and then the Phillies will get them. They'll level it up, get them back to the bank, and finish them off there. And that, I believe, is that. Anything else we need to know? Hands up. Anybody who's got anything they want to tell us? No, everybody's shaking their heads. Okay, then. Well done, boys. That was a good effort. Appreciate it. Well done. Thank you very much, Munaf. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, those who chirped up in the chat. We do appreciate it. If you're listening, go and click 5 stars or thumbs up and leave reviews and things like that. I think we're going to be back on... when we next back, Munaf?
I think we'll come back Sunday night or maybe Monday morning, because we'll have game 2 is going off on Sunday. So we can recap game 1 and 2 maybe early Monday and go from there. But we'll see what the schedule is as far as how they have the game staggered. But I think it's just a good reminder. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel for the MLB Gambling Podcast or follow us on Twitter. I think they're going to go 2 games a day, at least Monday and Tuesday. And then I think Wednesday is a full slate of games. So we'll figure out the schedule and maybe tweet it out, or just make sure you just subscribe to our YouTube channel so you know when we're going to go live.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Munaf. Appreciate it. Cheers, everybody. Good luck with your picks. I hope the baseball is good. I hope we get some winners. Back next week, and we'll see you down the road. Cheers.